What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to this Anfield Agenda keep, sell, loan and buy special. You guys have asked me to have a look through the squad, give you my opinion, who I'd keep, who I'd sell, who I'd loan, and of course who I'd bring in. And that's what I plan to do over the next few minutes. We'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, but most importantly, do hit that subscribe button, and I hope you're all enjoying your weekend. So any players that I don't speak about in this video, some really obvious ones like Alisson Becker as an example, are obviously going to be in the keep pile. I'm not going to go through the entire squad from top to bottom because that will be madness. There are certain players who we know are absolutely staying around. So I've tried to make sure that if I haven't included them, you know that I want them to stay. But that being said, let's go through it. And as you can see, we already have contender number 1 up here in Mr. Darwin Núñez. This is a no-brainer for me. I would 100% keep Darwin around. You seen the hat-trick he scored for Uruguay the other day. He has it in him. It's just a matter of if Arne Slot and Liverpool can bring all of that together and get a solid season or two out of Darwin. And I believe that we will. So for me, Darwin Núñez is very much keep. Next up is Lucho. This one, I have this caveat. So I would keep, but I do feel like we'll end up selling and he'll find a way out. So he does technically fall in the sell category. The links to Barcelona are not going away. The PSG ones are relatively quiet, but with Barcelona looking to offload some players to Saudi, Rafinha being the number 1 target, I believe, maybe they do come up with the money. And if they do come up with the money, I feel like he'll dig his heels in, want to go to Barcelona. So I do think I'm going to put him in the sell category. Not because I want to, but because I feel like it's more likely that it's going to happen. So for me, Diaz will be a sell. Next up, our captain, Virgil van Dijk. Now look, you know my thoughts on Virgil and the captaincy. Not my cup of tea in that regard. But as a player, as somebody to have around the team, I absolutely love him. He's been the best centre-back that I've watched play for Liverpool since the likes of Sami Hyypiä, and I'm sure you guys before me or before my time of many more. But I really, really like Virg, and I believe he's got a lot more to offer. So for me, Virg falls into the give a new deal and keep category, and I think most of you guys would agree. Yes, he might be 33 years of age, but I believe he absolutely has minimum 2 years left at the very top level. So for me, it would be keep and give him a new deal. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Do you agree or disagree? Following on from Virg is the vice-captain, Mr. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, as I sit here recording this, there are rumours doing the rounds that he signed a deal till 2029. I can't speak to those rumours because I don't have any of that information. But what I can say is, this one's a no-brainer. Keep Trent at the football club, give him a new deal, and tie him down as long as possible. He is the Scouse heartbeat of the club. He is growing into that leadership role, and I think we all agree he should be probably in midfield next season as well. I'm interested to see how he gets on in the Euros with Gareth Southgate if he does play him in that midfield role. But other than that, this is no brainer for me. Keep Trent at the club at all costs. Next up, Mr. Kostas Tsimikas. Now look, I've got to say I'd sell Kostas. I've been open about this for quite a while. My main reason is I don't see a day where he ever replaces Andy Robertson, which is what I believe he was brought in to do. Deputise and then someday become the number 1 left back. So if you look at it, we are talked about bringing in Geertruida as an example. If we brought him in with Joe Gomez, with Owen Beck, with Luke Chambers, we've got many options at left back. Of course, Andy Robertson there as well, and we're looking at bringing in a left-sided centre back. A lot of the ones we've been linked with can also fill in at left back as well. So I would sell Kostas if the right offer came in. I'd probably be looking at about 15 million for him, and that's nothing against him as a guy. He looks absolutely top notch, comes across very well. I know a few people who've bumped into him and he's always been nice, polite and friendly, but I just don't think long term it's going to work. So I would cash in this summer on Kostas. Next up, Bobby Clark. I'm glad he signed a new deal, tying him down to the club. I believe Bobby Clark is the real deal, but because we're so stacked in midfield, I think a very astute loan would be the way forward with Bobby Clark for one more campaign, but that will be it for me. One more season on loan, and then I truly believe he's ready to be in and around the first team all the time. Now, you could argue he's ready for that now, and I wouldn't really push back on it, to be honest. I rate Bobby Clark very highly. For me, though, I do think a loan deal would probably be the best way forward. Maybe even to the likes of a Hull or somebody challenging up in the Championship. Maybe he'll get a loan to a Premier League club. But I do think loan is the way forward for this season for Bobby Clark. Now, Tyler Morton. I feel like Tyler Morton has served his dues. And what I mean by that is he's had some loan spells. He's always stood out and he's a very reliable player. So I believe that Tyler Morton personally has earned the right to stay with the first team and be assessed up until at least January. Maybe he gets pre-season minutes, maybe he gets a couple of substitute appearances, or maybe he gets a chance, I don't know. But I feel he's earned the right to at least be assessed longer term. So I would keep him at the football club until at least January, where maybe we relook and give him a loan, or he's announced himself as a first teamer, one or the other. I certainly wouldn't be looking to sell just yet. So he falls in the keep until at least January category for me. Now, Mohamed Salah. That's not what he looks like these days, though. He's far closer to me these days, although, to be fair, he has hair, but he looks well with the shaved head, is what I'm trying to say here. For Mohamed Salah, it's very simple for me. I would sell. It's a no-brainer. We've got one more year to go with him, and it doesn't look like an extension is forthcoming, nor do I think an extension, personally, is the right idea. I think he's past his best, and I would look to sell rather than let him leave for free. I'm aware this will divide opinion, but I'm just being honest with you. My opinion's always been this summer is either a sell, renew, but you can't let him go for free next summer. So it's a no-brainer for me in that I would sell our greatest goal scorer in modern times. I know it sounds mad, but I do feel with the way we operate, it is the best course of action. Next up is Caoimhín Kelleher, or Mr. Conor Crosby's doppelganger. If you haven't seen Conor, they look very similar, to be honest. I would sell Caoimhín because I think that's what he wants, and I wouldn't want to stand in his way. As selfishly, I'd love to keep him around as backup to Alisson Becker because we know how good he is. This is purely a best case scenario for him. He wants to go and become a number one. He served his time at Liverpool. I believe he's good enough to go be a number one. Liverpool would be absolutely right to look to command a fee upwards of £20 million for Caoimhín. But honestly, I wish the kid nothing but the best. He served us brilliantly. He's always been a patient number two. And if it wasn't for having Alisson Becker, the best goalkeeper in the world at the club, maybe he would have become Liverpool's number one. So I think the fairest thing to do here is talk with Caoimhín. If he wants to move on, make it happen because he deserves it. Next up is Miroslav Jaros, and this is an interesting one because I would keep him and I would promote him to the number two. All the feedback that I've ever heard about Jaros has been positive, whether it be over with St. Pat's winning the FAI Cup or whether it be over with Sturm Graz winning, I think, an Austrian double. This lad looks like the genuine article to me, and I feel like he's done enough to deserve to be promoted to Liverpool's backup goalkeeper, with Adrien San Miguel probably signing a new deal to keep himself as number three. So for Jaros, I would keep. I would think, why not look to the solution? I'm somebody that believes if you bring goalkeepers into the club, you have to make a way possible for them to at least get up to number two. He served his time on loans, and I would give Jaros a chance as Liverpool's number two, which will be a very hard position to fill because the likes of Trafford, as an example, isn't going to want to come in and sit on the bench, is he? So for me, Jaros would be a keep and promote to number two. Next one up, Mr. Jayden Danns, somebody who I believe most of us would have absolutely no doubts in saying we think this kid is the real deal. But he's going to be up against some lofty competition next season if he were to remain at Liverpool. So I think the best course of action for Jayden Danns is a good high quality loan. Maybe half a season, maybe a full season, but I do feel he just needs a few more games at senior level, and I think Liverpool will see the benefit of that longer term. He looks like a natural goal scorer. Loads to admire and love about the kid. So for me, Jayden Danns would be a loan, but absolutely has a future at the football club. Next one up, and the last one in my Liverpool circle before we move on to the players that I would bring in, is Ryan Gravenberch. I have to admit, I'm absolutely shell-shocked to have seen... What, shell-shocked? What's that, Craig? I'm absolutely shell-shocked to have seen articles written about this kid being moving away. He's been linked to Galatasaray. He's been linked with moves elsewhere. I don't see why. I think we will see the best of Ryan Gravenberch over the next season. Considering he came in, played very little football, I've liked what I've seen. So for me, no-brainer. Keep Ryan Gravenberch around. I don't even understand whether there's conversations about him leaving. Now we move on to players that I would like to bring in to Liverpool. And we're starting off with the centre-back situation. This, for me, would be the centre-back that I would like to see brought in. Mark Gay from Crystal Palace. Homegrown, England international, going away to the Euros, and somebody who we've been linked with for a while. He might not be the sexiest name on the list of centre-backs, but I believe he is a fine centre-back. Crystal Palace have done some very, very good business, brought through some great players, and Mark Gay, for me, I think is a no-brainer. If you can get him for the right price, considering he's homegrown as well, it's just a double win. So that would be my choice as Liverpool bringing in a centre-back. Many other options we've spoken about. Inacio, we've spoken about. Diamonde, we've spoken about. Antonio Silva, the kid from Benfica, and many others. But my choice would be Mark Gay from Crystal Palace. Let me know if you agree or disagree below. 3 more to go. Next up, we're going to have a look at the defensive midfield position. I don't think you're going to be surprised with who I've gone with here. Of course, I have gone with Atalanta's Ederson. Now look, there's plenty of articles written over the last few days to say we're anywhere from just talking with his agent to putting in an offer. And truth is, I know we're interested in him. I've been talking about that for a while, but I don't know if that will end up with a bid or where we're at in that process. Well, this guy for me has always impressed me when I've seen him. 24 years of age, really stood out in that Atalanta team in the Europa League and in Serie A. And for me, again, at about 40 million quid, a no-brainer and a good solution to come in there and compete with Endo in the defensive midfield role. Next up, we're looking at a wide attacking player. And who have I gone for here? Michael Olise. At the live show in Belfast, I was really surprised. So I stood up and we talked about these kind of things, and I pitched Michael Olise as a wide player. And there was a lot of concern in the room for his injury track record, and I do understand that. But if Salah stays this season, which is looking like he's going to dig his heels in and do, then I think we'd get to at least see a year with Olise where we would be covered if he had an injury because Salah's there. But I think Liverpool would look into his background and his injury track record. If we can move past that, I think he is absolutely wonderful. And I'm a sucker for a pacey wide player who runs at defenders and scares the life out of them. And he is absolutely that. Pedro Neto would be another option, but you'd have the same injury concern. So for me, it's Michael Olise in the wide position. And last up, I've gone and brought in a fullback to cover. So who have I gone for the last piece of business? I have gone for Rayan Aït-Nouri from Wolves. Somebody who's always impressed me when I've watched them. Right age bracket as well. I was looking at Anthony Robinson from Fulham, but you know he's 27 or so. So Aït-Nouri to me would be an astute piece of business. Wolves have brought through some great players in recent times, and Aït-Nouri is one that I would very much welcome. So that is the video, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's over to you. Let me know your thoughts on everything that I've spoken about. Don't forget to drop a like if you'd enjoyed it. And our live shows, that's not the right one. Our live shows are coming up soon, so we will catch up with you then. Take care. Bye-bye.